How would you like to work 4 days a week, having done the same amount of work as you would have done in 5 days? Well, the growing popularity in the 4 day work week to me is intriguing. As someone who's been working the equivalent of a 4 day week for about 4 years now, and as someone who now helps organizations shift to shorter work weeks, I think this is long overdue. And the way to think about this, if you are compelled by this idea, is not to think about, but hang on, if there's less time, how will I get the same amount of work done? It's to think about, well, if some people or some organizations are managing it, what can I learn from them? The science to shifting your week to a shorter work week and still getting the same amount of work done is grounded in this idea that time isn't your greatest asset. Instead, your energy and your attention are your greatest assets. If you understand that and you combine that with greater prioritization, that is a system for success. So, in this video, I'm going to give you the top tips to help you transform how you work, upgrade how you think about work, and consequently start to get 5 days work done in just 4 every single day. So, these are the 3 topics or pillars that are absolutely essential to get better at. These are also the 3 pillars or 3 challenges that most people have with their current workload. Most people find it hard to prioritize, right? They find it hard to prioritize the really important stuff versus all the urgent stuff. Number 2, they also find it hard to sustain their productivity. Or put another way, people are more distracted than ever. They find it hard to focus and consequently their productivity is compromised. And then number 3, one of the biggest challenges that people have at the moment is their well-being is consistently compromised. More often than not because of their workload, but it's hard to make time for the things that we know we should be doing. So we need a system. I'm going to teach you a system to get better at all 3 things. Now it's all grounded in this mindset shift. In order to do all this stuff better, you need to become less reactive, i.e. thinking less about tasks and emails and all those deadlines and all that urgent stuff. And you're now going to become more self-directed, more strategic, more deliberate, more intentional, right? More outcome-oriented. So, firstly, let's talk about prioritization. There are 2 things you need to get better at to master your prioritization of work. The first is being more goal-oriented. Specifically, identifying your goals, not just for the year, ideally for the long term, for the year, and then the quarter. This is absolutely key as the first step. The first step for you mastering your workload is deciding the 3 priority goals or projects for the next quarter and each quarter thereafter. The minute you do that, you've got a time frame that's more manageable, 13 weeks rather than a year. You've identified just 3, and that's the beginning of effective prioritization, and suddenly you've got clarity that's going to help you make more informed, more strategic decisions. That's step 1. Step 2 to prioritizing your work is then also applying the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do at work generates 80% of your results. I'm going to repeat that. 20% of everything you do at work is really important because it generates 80% of your value, your progress. But 80% of everything you do really isn't very important. So you also now need to identify your highest value tasks, or what I call your MVTs, most valuable tasks. And the 80-20 rule is now going to help you do that. So pause the video if you need. Identify what are your 20% activities. They now need to be your priorities. So now you're prioritizing based on 2 lenses. Number 1, what are my goals and what are the activities that are going to take me towards my goals? Number 2, on top of that, what are the 20% of tasks that are more important than everything else? Things like solving problems, thinking about systems, improving relationships. You'll figure them out. Right, prioritization solved. Now let's look to improving your productivity. To do that, you now need to master your brain at work. To do that, you need to understand there are 2 variables at play that define your daily productive output. The first variable is what we call mental energy. The second variable is called attention, right? Now, mental energy, to get better at that, understand that your mental energy is fluctuating predictably each day. Most people, and you're probably one of them, feel most productive in the morning. Some people say 11 a.m. Some people say the first 2 hours after waking up. The science suggests that due to your cortisol waking response, most people are most productive about the first 4 hours after waking up. Now start using that. Protect your mornings for your highest value work. If there's one thing to do well here, is to start your day at work spending the first 60 minutes in a non-reactive state on your highest value priority of the day. Then throughout the day, just have more breaks. You need to have more breaks to now sustain your mental energy throughout the day. Now, that's a very brief overview, but start applying this stuff straight away. It could change your life. It will definitely dramatically improve your productivity. Now, the other variable to being productive is what we call attention. Now, you know this, right? Your ability to focus. The biggest challenge to workplace productivity currently is distraction. Whether that's your email beeping at you every 3 minutes, maybe it's people coming to your desk, maybe it's Slack or WhatsApp or any number of digital communications. Many of us now have 6 or more digital inboxes. So, until you've started disabling notifications on all of them, you are not going to be productive. It's going to be taking you either 2 or 3 times as long as necessary to do your work. You're going to be making 2 to 3 times more errors, and you're going to be experiencing twice the level of stress and anxiety. So what you need to do is systematically start to disable notifications. And the way to think about that for most people is very easy, is to start booking in 60-minute meetings with yourself where you disable or you turn off all notifications. You go into silent mode, right? Just 60 minutes. Start it tomorrow, and you'll notice by doing that most emails can go 60 minutes without a response. And anything urgent, you then need a system for urgent. Understanding that most things, probably 90% or more, are non-urgent. Now, again, there's a lot to think about there, but you have to start creating the conditions where your brain can focus and can sustain its attention. And for as long as you've got notifications going off, that is more or less impossible. So, create a distraction-free environment. Okay, now moving on. Your phone. When we talk about improving your attention, we cannot ignore your relationship with your phone. So, if you're checking your phone before you get out of bed this morning, you need to stop that. If you're still on a device in the last 60 minutes before you go back to bed, that is compromising your attention. If you are opening your phone 100 times a day, you need to do some work there as well. And if you're someone, and many people are, who watches television but they have their phone in their hand, that is shrinking your brain, the part of your brain that we associate with focus, so that needs to go too. Right, and then finally, to keep this video as brief as possible, how do you not just improve your prioritization, but transform your productivity? How do you also sustain your well-being? Well, the domain and topic of well-being is vast. In this video, I'm just going to share the model that I'm currently sharing with emergency doctors. It all starts with improving your sense of control, right? What's within your control is there's more within your influence than you probably realize, but the key is to get systematic about that. Physiology. Learn to regulate your physiology. That's grounded in learning how to relax, learning how to trigger parasympathetic dominance. Relaxation really is a skill. Start learning it today. Emotions. You now also need to prioritize what I call your psychological recovery. Just as much as any of your work-based priorities, you need to identify the things that emotionally recharge you, seeing your friends, going for a long walk, creative pursuits, listening to music, and book them in your calendar. And then mental state, have a task management system that enables you to switch off when you need and get sufficient mental recovery. My friend, your brain is your single most valuable asset. Start creating a system that enables you not just to master your workload and get 5 days work done in 4, but to live a life where your brain is yours to use how you choose, and your attention is something that you are now the master of.